YouTube. Today we're going to talk about kitchen table gunsmiths and what they're capable of doing and what they're not capable of doing. And folks, just so you know, I am not a gunsmith, and I know a little bit, but I don't know everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about whether it's worth it to build your own 1911. And what we have here in front of us, we have a 1911. I've shown it a couple times, but I never really showcased it a lot because a lot of people really want to understand what this is. But what we have here is a custom-made stainless Caspian Arms 1911. And before we go any further, I'm going to show you this 1911 doesn't have anything in it, and we are clear to make this video. So what we have here is a Caspian Arms high polished stainless 1911, and this is the only one of these that exists in the world because this was custom built for me. So a company called Caspian Arms builds 1911 high-end 1911 parts, and gunsmiths buy them and they build 1911s off of their parts. And folks, people that say they're gunsmiths because they change slides and stuff on a Glock, or they put a parts kit in it and an AR lower, they're not gunsmiths. People that do stuff like this are gunsmiths. And I'm going to tell you, I took on the project of building a 1911 a few years ago, and I found out and I've gained a great deal of respect for gunsmiths that build 1911s by hand. There's nothing easy about it. It's very time consuming and it's very tedious work. So I'm going to give you a couple things that what it takes to build a 1911 because I happen to know a little bit about it now. And the 1911 that I built, I was very proud of, and I regrettably gave it away to somebody. I do not own it anymore. It was not the best looking 1911 in the world, but I know that I put my blood, sweat, and tears in that thing. It took me about 1 year to complete, and that's with breaks and everything because I had to gain my sanity. But after I did that, I decided to have one built that was just custom made for me. And I've talked about my gunsmith many times on here. He's done some of the refinish jobs on a couple of the Colt revolvers that I've showed you that I've restored, and he's done some action works on Smith & Wessons. His main claim to fame is Smith & Wesson revolvers and these girls right here, these 1911s. So let's get into this, see about what it takes to build a 1911. So first thing we did is I decided I wanted a full-size, government-size, 5-inch 1911. So we checked that off, and I wanted it to be in stainless because I could range a lot, and if the thing gets scratched up, I can correct scratches on a stainless gun pretty simple. So what we did is we ordered a stainless frame and slide from Caspian Arms. If you see right here real close, it says Caspian Arms. It has a serial number right here, and then on the slide it says Caspian. It has their logo on both sides, and then it says Caspian real big on the side of the slide here, which is kind of cool. Looks kind of cool, a little cursive writing there. Now, what people don't understand, kitchen table gunsmiths don't understand, when you get a frame and slide from a company like this, everything's built oversized, and this frame will not fit, or this slide will not fit on this frame. So you have to do a lot of measuring and a lot of inch by inch by inch filing to fit this slide onto this frame. And you want the tightest fit that you can get where it'll still operate. And you see how tight these gaps are right here. It is super, super well fit. And one of the most important things you're going to pick out is what kind of barrel you're going to use. And we elected to go with an Ed Brown match grade barrel. So when you order a barrel, you also need to order a matching barrel bushing for a 1911. And when you do that, you're going to have to fit this barrel bushing onto this barrel, and you also have to fit it onto the slide. So all this has to be hand fitted in here, and that takes hours to do that. So one of the things that I required when I wanted him to build this was I wanted this barrel flush cut and crowned. And that takes a special tool to grind this off or cut it off, and then you have to reverse crown it in here like that. But it looks really cool, really clean looking on the end when it's reverse cut and crown. I wanted very high sights, very visible sights. So we just put These are dovetail type sights on this thing, and it's got a red fiber optic up front. It's got a real high mount in the back, very U-notch like type target battle sight on the back. It's very, very visible, very high sights. I don't have the greatest eyesight, folks. So with the internals, we went with the Wilson Combat trigger and the hammer on it. It's got a Commander style hammer, and all the internals are Wilson Combat. The slide stop and the thumb safety are extended Wilson Combats. And remember, folks, this was when I did the 1911. This was one of the hardest pieces to do. People think that you just slide out and slide back in, and I know an average person, if they do a little bit of work, they can take apart a 1911 all the way down to the frame. Well, they know that this just slides in and out. Well, that's not how it comes, folks. You have to hand fit this thing. There's a certain angle that has to go up against this hammer on the inside here, and that was the hardest part for me. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to tell you that when you go get a custom 1911, the first thing you look at is how well this thumb safety works. See how tactile it works. And you can tell right then and there whether this gun's put together right, and this one is. As you can see, it's very tactile and it works great. So, moving on down the line, we went with an Ed Brown beaver tail on it, this extended beaver tail, and the reason I use it Ed Brown is it's got this memory hump on it with these little lines on it. It's a real positive feel, and if you can see here, it's just very tightly put together. There's no rattling on this. You can shake it around. It doesn't have the Colt rattle. Moving on down here to the mainspring housing. This is a Nighthawk Custom mainspring housing because this is a Nighthawk Custom one-piece magwell. So the magwell and the mainspring housing is all one piece. So all that blends in together, and it's all blended into the gun. It looks like it's actually part of the frame. And that all has to be done with hand filing and everything because he doesn't have millions of dollars worth of CNC machines at his house. I wanted an extended mag release on him, and I have a gargantuan one. This thing is huge, so you can just reach over very easy and push the mag release. Now that we've gotten as far as the mag release, one of the other things you look for in a 1911 that a lot of people don't think about, to see if it's put together correctly, what you do is you see how easy the mags drop out. And if they just drop out very freely like that, this thing is put together right. And if it's not fitted correctly, the mags will like hang up like right here, and you'll have to like help them out. But if they just drop out real easy like that, it's been put together correctly. So basically, he did a really good job of building this gun, and every piece that you do on a 1911, this mainspring housing has to be filed to fit inside this groove of this frame. This beaver tail has to be filed to fit. You have to make all this stuff fit flush. This thumb safety, all this stuff has to be fit. This has been recessed into the frame, and that is not something that can be done with a screwdriver and about 10 minutes at your kitchen table, folks. So is it worth it to build your 1911? I would say when I did the one that I did, it was absolutely worth it because I learned more about 1911s in that year's time putting that gun together than I have my entire time of being on firearms. I have a great deal of respect for the amount of work that goes into these things, and this is why this is one of my favorite pistol platforms. These things can be put together so tight with such a tight tolerances where they work so smooth and all that there is no gun gonna outshoot one of these in accuracy if you put them in like a bench rest. And folks, I can tell you right now, there is no better trigger on a pistol than a 1911. I don't care what you do to your polymer frame gun, you're never going to have a trigger like you will on a 1911. And when you get a very well built custom one like this, it's just unsurpassed. The amount, as good as this trigger feels. But this is probably one of the most accurate guns that I own. It's one of the funnest guns there is to shoot, and I'm just happy to own it. And it took a while to be built, but I'm just very glad that I have it right now. I don't put any stupid rails on 1911s or anything like that. I don't think they were meant to have that on there. But yeah, he did an excellent job on this. A lot of people, about 90% of the people on this earth, if you tell them I have a Caspian 1911, they aren't even going to know what it is. And what they're immediately going to say is, how much is it worth? And that's when I'm going to stop talking to them. It doesn't matter what it's worth, folks. I can tell you this, there was a couple dollars put into this thing to buy all the stuff and pay to have this thing built. It was not cheap. Do I think I could sell it for what I have in it? Probably not, unless it was to somebody that really understood what it was, and I don't have the patience to explain it to them, to be honest with you. So I have no plans to sell this, nor do I have any plans to sell any of the firearms that I show you, but it always comes up, what's it worth or what's it cost? But that will never be a thing with me, folks. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that I had this gun custom built some time ago. I have showed it a couple times, and I wanted to let y'all know that it is not something that you're going to do in a night or two. And there's a labor of love, and it's going to take you a long time. There's going to be a big learning curve in it. You're going to make some mistakes here and there. But in the end, I 100% think it's worth it to build your own 1911, because you'll learn more about that firearm than you will of any other firearm that you own. And you will become an instant fan and respect the 1911 and the folks that work on them. One other thing I want to touch on is a lot of people don't like these new CNC machines and all this stuff that's being built in the modern days. Well, folks, technology's caught up with stuff like this, and you have companies like Cabot Guns that can build on CNC machines the tightest tolerances. You can take any of their slides, and it will work on any of their frames. That's what they claim, because they're cut that exact. Well, when you get a gunsmith like the guy that built this gun, well, he doesn't have millions of dollars to CNC machines and have them set up in there. He hand puts these things together, and it's the same as the old Colt Pythons versus the new ones. The old ones are all hand fit together, and all the hand fitting went into them. The new ones are all cut out on CNC machines. They work just as well. But Colt has millions of dollars for the CNC machines, and Joe Schmo working in his workshop, building a couple 1911s a year, he's not going to have millions of dollars for the CNC machines. But that's the difference. Lots of work goes into them. It's a labor of love, and yes, I believe it's worth it if you wanted to try it. You just have to keep in mind it's going to take a while. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn a lot. So every mistake you make, you're going to be paying for your education, which is worth it in the long run. If you have any questions on 1911s, folks, or building them, or any questions about this particular firearm right here, feel free to ask. I'll answer any questions that I have. And thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.